Hello, this is Kylie J.N.S. And today we are doing our weekly tarot. We are one day early. Normally we do it on Fridays, but I figure we do it today. So we're doing it today because tomorrow I won't be able to do it. And so we want to cover our weekly tarot. Now we start with uh, a review of last week to see what came to pass this week, because we're still in that energy. So we want to review what we said last Friday, which was June 7th. Yep. So what we said on June 7th, a lot of the things have transpired, a lot of the things have taken place. And so we want to do a review. And again, the reason why we do these weekly tarots is to keep us abreast on the energy of the following week. We want to see what things we need to be on the lookout for, some things that may affect us personally, as well as, it's a deep dive into probability distribution science as well. That is essentially what tarot is. It is a tool that gives you probable outcomes based on a state of consciousness using these ideograms or pictograms, and that's what the tarot is like. You see these ideograms and archetypes that represents a corresponding astrological sign, planet, number, alchemical sign, symbol, possibly, as well as alchemy. And so it's a combination of sciences within the ideogram, pictogram, which allows you to take a look at the collective unconscious of the earth records. So that's what the tarot is. And so that's why we do our weekly tarot. And again, let's start with our review. So last week we said on June 7th that there would be a couple of scenarios that take place from June 8th to June 14th. And so we mentioned in last week's video that there could be possible like abuse victims coming forward, that there could be some sort of trial or some sort of persecution where somebody has to defend themselves. We talked about a possible like loss of rank or power. We mentioned specifically like a bank, and that could have been due to a scandal. We mentioned that there could have been scandal persecutions relating to the scandal, that could deal with universities or government or medical. And we talked about like this element of like defense and persecution that has to be explained, or victims coming forward and victims being helped. So that was a lot of that energy this week. And so I want to just recap what we talked about, and then I'll start to show you some of the scenarios that have come to pass. So I'll just play last week. This is from last week, June 7th. And so let's take a look. Okay. Like I said, we're looking at some type of persecution where somebody has to defend themselves on it. Like it could be a trial, an actual case. If not, like somebody is a victim, maybe this could be something with abuse cases come out. Oh, I hope that's not the case. Oh, I hope that's not the case. This could be something with some abuse scandal, some type of abuse. I'll cover what this means on an individual. We're still doing more of the world macro level of what I'm getting. But yeah, like unfortunately, like somebody feeling powerlessness. There's something with someone loses their power. There's a loss of power, or someone is an actual victim of abuse, or someone is get persecuted. This could be a gaslighting situation, persecution, where they put themselves in a situation they know they shouldn't have been in, and so they are getting persecuted. They have to defend themselves. You have to speak up. Now, if this is on an individual level, the micro level, okay. So you hear me say that, where there was some sort of persecution where somebody had to defend themselves, had to speak up. This relates to this week. We had a situation where the DOJ persecution of a trans medicine whistleblower. So this was a whistleblower that pretty much blew the lid on the deception and the exploitative nature of transgender medicine. So he wanted to shed light on that. And this was June 13th. This was just actually today. Wow. Just today. Um, he had to defend himself. Like there was this, I guess, like they were offering transgenders drugs and surgeries to minors at the children's hospital, and away from public scrutiny, the hospital was they said they were going to stop, but they didn't stop. They were continuing to do this exploitative regimen to minors, offering them transgender drugs, offering them surgeries to mutilate their bodies. And so Ethan Heim, who was a resident surgeon, he leaked evidence that this was still occurring to the city's journal. Okay. And so he is a whistleblower. And so this situation prompted the Republican state legislators to pass a bill outlawing the use of transgender drugs and surgeries in pediatric medicine. Okay. And so there were people that took offense to this, him whistleblowing and telling what that hospital was doing. Now, we said it would be persecution relating to some sort of scandal. Um, Even further, I'll play further in the reading, and I think we did mention like medical. So this is interesting because we could see obviously this case uh, uh, is now in the forefront. Just today, June 13th, 2024, the DOJ's persecution of a trans medicine whistleblower. So we knew somebody had to defend themselves, so I had to speak up. So he's a whistleblower. So he speaks up, and he was persecuted. Actually, the FBI had visited him because I actually want to further go down and read what actually happened, because he was exposing what they were doing to the children. But they had came after him pretty much. Trying to read where it say that at, where they was like they had to tip him off because okay, yeah. So so federal agents had showed up to his home and informed him that he was a potential target in a criminal investigation relating to this. So even though he was a whistleblower, he was facing whistleblower retaliation. And whistleblower retaliation is a real thing. It turns into targeted harassment. And so this was pretty much what they had, that they were trying to let him know that he was a target in a criminal investigation, a target, which was targeted harassment. And they were saying that it was for political reasons. And so this was the Biden administration that did this investigation of him. Okay. And so this article is saying it wouldn't be the first time this administration wielded executive power to intimidate its political opponents and cultural enemies. So here we go. We knew it would be something with some type of persecution. This is whistleblower testimony. And again, this was a transgender medical scandal. We knew it was some type of scandal. You know, it's interesting. Now, play back what I said, because I remember I was getting into scandal. Now, I thought the scandal could be relating to government, university, or medical. And so I did mention that. But let's take a look to see what else I was saying in that video, because there was a couple more things that took place last week. Again, if you just happen to pop in and wondering what's going on, we are doing a review of last week's reading. That's just what we do. We want to see what came to pass. We want to see what kind of energy we're dealing with, because it is a persecutory energy. And again, this is the collective unconscious. When I looked to see what else was coming up, there was a lot of more minor things relating to, the persecution. But that one was something that was big, because we said it was some sort of scandal. We knew it was something with persecution, standing up for yourself, gaslighting, as well as, so that's that whistleblower energy, as far as the standing up and defending yourself and speaking up. And then we mentioned that it could potentially be in medical school or the government. So let's continue to see what else we said last week. If this is you, you better speak up and defend yourself this week. I'm sorry, next week, June 8th to June 14th. You better defend your motherfucking self and Don't allow yourself to be a victim. Don't put any self-imposed limitations on you. No self-imposed limitations. Believe in yourself and stand up for yourself. And if you need to put up a little guard, that should be okay to get you to the next space. Keep persevering, because there's going to be like some people that try to either gaslight you. See, that's this DOJ, persecution of a trans medicine whistleblower. That was for him. This reading, this was for Dr. Ethan Hain. Yep, that's what this reading was for. I mean, obviously it's for, it relates to many people, but like for this to come out like that, that's what I was picking up on. I was picking up on something relating to that. Okay, let's continue. Or people that literally try to fight you. We talking about this to be a verbal altercation. Some of you might have to do some presentation, or to get may feel a little defensive, So this is like an energy of defense, explaining yourself. But if you do start feeling persecuted, walk away. Walk away, and put that guard up, and don't allow people to gaslight you. Don't allow people to make you a scapegoat. Don't allow people to project their bullshit on you this week. Okay, for the upcoming week, don't allow people to do that. Defend yourself. Okay, stick up for. Also, this it could be some a world event. We're looking at maybe an organization that some type of defense organization that comes up that is standing for integrity, that is standing for speaking the truth at all costs, some type of. Okay, so we have that too. So there was an organization that did come forward. So June 10th, organization hosts financial event for abuse survivors. Okay, so we mentioned that there was something with abuse survivors, abuse, and then the organization comes forward. So June 10th, which is 3 days ago, there was a organization that came forward for abuse survivors. Okay, and I guess this group may be called Courageous Shift. Also, so it looks like. Okay, so it was an organization created to combat domestic violence, and so they held an event specifically those who are Black. So this is interesting. So these are for Black Americans when they get a financial start on life. So Melody Gross is the founder and CEO of Courageous Shift. Okay, so her team includes survivors, and they were educating companies on how domestic violence impacts the workplace. So they were hosting the first Survive Plus Thrive Black Financial Health Week. That's very relevant to Black Americans. So this event aims to empower abuse survivors, supporters, and community members who with tools to start over and achieve financial freedom. So ladies, Black American ladies, if you know you're dealing with some domestic abuse, this came to pass. We said it will be something with, maybe abuse coming forward, an organization that helps abuse survivors, and they've come forward, Black Financial Health Week. I didn't even know about this. I had no idea that this existed. This is cool, though. This is cool because look at June 10th, organization hosts financial for abuse survivors. And so this is something you guys may want to take note of as far as the Courageous Shift. This is the founder, and they educate Black Americans about how domestic violence affects the workplace. And so they did the Survive Plus Thrive Black Financial Health Week. We knew it would be something with someone coming forward. So it provides tools and strategies not only to just recognize and respond to financial and economic abuse, but understanding what resources are available and how to overcome it as well. That was really cool. That was really cool. So that's the Courageous Shift website. So if anyone, this was the organization that we saw that came forward this week to help abuse victims. Yep, see? Look at June 10th through June 14th, 2024. Black survivors deserve financial freedom. Wow. So we got one more day for anybody that want to take advantage of this. Look at all events are free to attend. Here we go. I'll put the link in the Dropbox. I mean, in the comment section. But that's interesting. That is so interesting. Because I knew we were picking up that energy. And so they come forward, and this is actually a really good resource for people. I just wish I would have caught it quicker to share it, but as far as like the event, it started on the 10th, so kind of 3 days late. But I actually want to look into this myself, and this was sponsored by the North Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Yeah, so I mean that's another thing that came to pass. That's pretty cool. So let's look and see. And again, these resources are relevant to us. We can use these things. We can use these readings, this probability distribution science. We can use these things to help us prepare and to help us understand the elements of the affecting of the week. Because what happens is, again, this was a collective unconscious of the earth records, which means that it's a dominant energy that is sweeping the collective, but on individual level affects you differently in terms of the subjective aspects of how it will manifest. So obviously we picked up that there was, some sort of persecution, and having to defend, maybe a presentation or explaining. It doesn't mean that you were abused this week or something like that, but you may have had a situation where you had to present yourself, do a presentation, or do a defense, or explain yourself. And so you want to hold on to that energy, in terms of like, if it's not serving you, how can you transmute it to something that does serve your auspicious self? And if it is serving you, how can you make it better? How can you manifest better? How can you change the probability distribution in your favor? So that's why we're doing these weekly tarots. So let's continue to see what else we had talked about. Again, it's like some with defense of a victim's abuse case could come forward, something like that, something with abuse, or some type of trial where somebody had to defend themselves from abuse allegations, possible indictment. But yeah, this is the energy. We got a couple scenarios. A scenario, let me actually write this down because I don't want to forget for next week. Yeah, scenario where some abuse victims come forward. That's just a simple version of that. Another is like an actual trial where someone has to defend themselves, or like some type of indictment. So that's the whistleblower. So we see the organization that came forward to help. One event that came forward. I'm sorry. One event that came to pass was this one. The hosting of the financial event for the abuse victims. That organization that we saw, the National Domestic Violence in North Carolina, and then the other one was the DOJ's persecution of this whistleblower who was shedding light on the scandal of how they were giving minors transgender surgery and transgender medicine. So he had came forward and told them, and then the Biden administration, which is the government, opened up targeted him for being a whistleblower retaliation. So now we have this scandal with the government that we talked about. The person, the DOJ persecution, him having to defend himself and stand trial just today. And then we have that organization. But let's see, because more stuff had took place. So let's take a look, because more things had took place this week. Had to defend themselves. Someone has to defend themselves against persecution. I'll say that, persecution. So I don't want to do that. It's something with persecution itself. Another thing that we get, what else did we get from this? Oh, like an organization, some type of organization, a defense organization that comes forward about like relating to ethics and integrity. They speaking the truth and helping possible victims. Another thing is this could relate to some type of investment firm, and or banking in terms of defense, or something that they get persecuted for, something that they got. Okay, so we got to talk about that. The banks. Now look at this. This just happened today, June 13th. This is something that they're going to have to explain. Banks may not give your money back. They frauded. Okay. this is something that just came out, and I do think is relevant because it just happened today, and I do think it's something that we need to talk about, because a lot of these banks, when people get defrauded, you know, they don't put something in a clause where they saying they have no obligation to return your money now. As you can see, this is June 13th, 2024. And so this is something that is relevant to you guys. And let's see what they're talking about, because we mentioned that it was something with the banks and persecution and some type of scandal. But look at this. Wells Fargo as we're doing some Sherm shit. Actually, Wells Fargo didn't even pay. Did you hear about the glitch that happened yesterday with all them people was waiting for their deposits and money, and their money was not available? That just happened yesterday, and they won't even really report on that. So that's something up with that. But they're saying that I guess a guy 2 years ago, let's see how much money he had got hit for. Okay, so let's see. Let's just read it together. Okay, so it's John Pollard, who retired in Philadelphia. He wrote a check for $84 to Verizon to pay a phone bill. It was stolen, and the amount was changed to $45,000, made out to a person named Olivia Wallace, and then it was cashed, according to a legal complaint. Okay, so they they had just deposited a large sum into their Wells Fargo bank account, which in which the check was written. So they didn't immediately realize the money was missing from their account. And so it wasn't until Verizon notified that they had not received that phone payment of $83, right? This was a check. So this happened in 2022. So it's 2 years later, obviously it's 2024, and the Pollards still have not gotten any of their stolen money back from the bank. So Wells Fargo said is not obligated to return the money, and alleges in the letter to the Pollards that they did not report the stolen check until more than 2 months after it was deposited. So the bank says it informs this company that they must file a timely claim for any suspected fraudulent transactions on their account. So it's 30 days if you suspect fraud or forgery. Okay. And so the UCC says that consumers have a year to report check fraud. So see how you have a year actually to report check fraud. But Wells Fargo is saying it's giving them 30 days. And then the Electronic Transfer Act says it gives people 60 days for when they receive their statement to report unauthorized transactions. That's by law. But now they're saying that checks and wire transfers fall outside of the EFTA and are instead governed by the UCC, which is a set of laws governing U.S. commercial transactions. So you got to pay attention to your bank agreements, because they're shortening the grace period for reporting fraudulent transactions to just 14 days from your bank statement. You hear that? So now it's just going down to 14 days. And that is really unreasonable. Even the UCC saying that is unreasonable. So the courts have determined that the 14 days is reasonable. So this is going to be changing. This was just today that they put this out. So as a result, customers can find themselves out of luck when they report that money was fraudulently taken from their account. Now, remember, we always thought that, the banks would cover, FDIC insurance and all this stuff up to $250,000. And it covers fraud. It covers if the bank goes under. They're doing a lot of Sherm shit. And so you only got 14 days now. It was 60, then went down to 30. Then they said you had a year. The UCC said you had a year to report fraudulent transactions on your account. You don't have that anymore. You got 14 days. So make sure if you have a debit card and you have the lock feature on your bank, make sure that you freeze the debit card so that you can't have any transactions. If you got extra volts within your bank account, move money to the volts, and then still turn the card off. Don't let nobody just write checks and shit. This couple was obviously elders, because they mailed in a check still. Who's doing that for a Verizon bill? They could have just went online and paid their bill. And I'm not judging them, because it's not their fault that they were defrauded, because they have a right to mail a check to a company to pay their bill, right? So, but you obviously they're elders. Just from seeing it, you can kind of tell just because they're mailing in checks. But they got scammed. Somebody took that check and put in 43,000, changed the number from $84 to $43,000, put their name on it and cashed it, and they got away with it. And then Wells Fargo was not giving in their money back. So obviously there's a spike in check fraud. Look at this. So here's the thing. Wells Fargo had told them they would get their money back. But then they changed it because they said, oh, you didn't notify the fraud within 30 days. So that's that bullshit. Okay. And so you gotta, I just want you, the public to know, they just switched this shit to 14 days. And so you pay attention to your account, you pay attention to your money, because they're gonna be doing some sharm shit with a lot of these banks, because the EFTA, you know, they saying that the checks transfers, wired transfers and checks do not fall under the EFTA anymore. And so you have to pay attention to those agreements, because that's just something that they put out today. And they rooted it in a story that was, for an individual story that had happened with a couple. But they about to change this shit. It's about to be 14 days. So make sure that your cards are your debit cards is frozen. Use the frozen feature when you're not using your card. You got a bunch of money in your checking account, or if you got the extra votes, they have saving votes connected to the checking account. You want to move that money over there. Make sure that you're not, pay attention. Get daily notifications to your phone about your balance and all that stuff, because that's some charm shit. That's messed up that they did that to them people. And it's a lot of Americans coming forward saying stuff like this that's happening to them with their money. And so I thought that was important to cover, because we did mention stuff about a bank and whatnot. So let's continue to see what else we said. Got to explain. They may have to explain themselves. Then there can also be persecution or some side of defense or victims relating to the universities. Some type of, I hope it's no scandal. Or the church. Okay, so unfortunately, there was a scandal with the church as well. And this was June 10th. As you can see, some churches call clergy sexual misconduct and affair. Survivors are fighting to make it against the law. Look at this. This was June 10th. We did our reading on June 7th. And so advocates push for legislation criminalizing sex between ministers and those they spiritually guide. Okay. So this just came out. So something with criminalizing abuse is another way of saying here is the abuse. Okay, let's see. So they're talking about victims of adult clergy sexual abuse. They were coming forward this week. See, look at this. Researchers who researches adult clergy sexual abuse at Baylor University said victims consider what they had to lose, their reputations, relationships, marriages, faith, communities, and even the faith themselves. So I guess when I was picking up was like a church, but then the research was being done at Baylor University. Because I know I mentioned like this would be a scandal relating to like the church or the university, but it looks like what we got is that they were doing the research at Baylor University on the sexual misconduct. And again, with probably distribution science, these type of details, like even though there's sparse details when we do the reading, they're very general. There you get a concrete idea of what's going to take place. And I know that like the public or like clients, they think that you're supposed to literally know the every detail of an event, and that's just not how this stuff works. No one knows every detail of a future event. That's just idiotic to think that that would be the case. You would get details, and you have to pay attention to what's coming to pass and what's manifested, and then you have to assess whether or not it's auspicious or inauspicious, whether it's serving your higher self or whether it's serving your lower self, and how you're going to transmute that to change it. If it's something you don't like, you can change it. You don't just sit and say, oh, that's the outcome that the advisor said was going to happen. Oh, this bad outcome. No, you can always change it. But as we can see, we just heard me say in that video that there was going to be something relating to some sort of scandal with victims at a church or a university. And obviously we have churches called clergy sexual misconduct and affair. Survivors are fighting to make it against the law. This was June 10th. And there was research done at Baylor University about the adult clergy sexual abuse. Okay. So I knew it was going to be something with that. And so she was a victim of, so there were people that were victims of sexual clergy abuse, and they were reporting it to the church. And so that's why I guess I was like, is it either the university or, okay, that's interesting. Hmm. This helps me hone in my skills too, as we, as we're doing these things, it helps me, hone in, um, on this idea of the probability distribution science, predictive programming. Uh, are we writing a future, or is it a prediction, or is it the actual hecka that is creating it? I'm still trying to figure that out. I really am. Another thing I want to also get into eventually would be like, I want to do the I Ching. I've been working with that, learning about the I Ching system, and that one's a little, I would say, more complex than tarot, if you ask me. For me, I intuitively knew, picked up on tarot like it was nothing. I remember at 9 years old, I remember we were at a store. We were walking in the store, and I saw tarot cards, and I remember really wanting those cards so bad. I was begging for those cards. I wanted those cards so bad. I was drawn to them. I knew it was a divination tool. I was not scared. The only thing that I knew intuitively to never go near, intuitively, I just knew to never ever go near, is two things: Ouija boards and summoning something inside your body. Those were two things that I knew even as a kid that you just is a no go. That I had a friend that thought that, her grandmother had a Ouija board. And I remember she was like, "You want to go play with my grandmother's Ouija board?" And I remember saying, "Hell no," because her grandmother, she was a biracial girl, so her grandmother was a white witch, and so they would have all this witchy stuff, but the grandmother played with Ouija boards. And I remember it was at I was at my friend's house with a visit, and just how you visit your friend, and she was like, "Want to play with my grandmother's Ouija board?" And I was like, "Hell, nope, 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 nope." And she didn't understand. Like, to her, that wasn't an instinct for her. For that was my instinct. I knew that was a portal into which any energy could come through intuitively, and it was just always a no go for me. Even to this day, it's just a no go. I just will not fuck with that. Like, and then the other one is summoning something inside of myself, letting stuff come inside like me. That I just was always against. To just That's just, some people have an inner clock. We are not some people. We all have an inner, sometimes an inner clock or an inner alarm, or something that just you just know, like, nope. That's just something that was encoded in me. But when it comes to the tarot, I have to say that I was drawn to since I was a little ass kid, just like crystals, tarot cards. I was drawn to literally as a little kid. They used to have this botanica store over on Elmwood. They don't have it now. They have all types of Elmwood shops in Buffalo. And I was like 12 years old. I used to go walk on Elmwood, walk straight up through Delavan, make that turn right on Elmwood, and there was a botanica. And I remember I walked in that botanica. I did not. I was by myself. I was like 12. I walked in that botanica and walked right to the crystals. And I remember seeing rose quartz, and I remember asking, "What is these?" I thought it was so pretty. I wanted it so bad. And I saw amethyst and rose quartz. And I was like, "What is this?" And they were just looking at each other like, "She's here." Like, it's like they had knew me or something. It was so creepy. It was just looking. They were just like, she arrived. Like, she's actually here. And they were telling me about the crystals. And then, I was looking at the cards. And then after that, I went to a herbal store that had like a lot of plants and different types of herbs. They had different types of teas. And that was Black owned. Oh, well, it was a Black lady working here. So maybe it might not have been Black owned, but it was on Elmwood too. And I had loved that. That was just my thing. Like, Elmwood Strip as a kid, that was my thing every Saturday. I like to just go on walks. If I was gonna go to Delaware Park, I was gonna walk my ass over on Elmwood and go up and down the Elmwood Strip and just go to different stores, And I didn't have any money because I was like 12 years old, 12, 13 years old. But I really enjoyed that. But the tarot card, I'm telling you, so when I was 9 years old, I knew I knew that was for me. And I remember my guardian at the time was like, "No, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying no damn tarot card. I'm not buying it." And she didn't buy it. So I had to wait for a long time to be able to get it on my own. But that to me was very intuitive. I didn't have to study. I studied like, like like going to online, how you go online and look up the meanings of the cards and stuff. I did that, but it was very intuitive process for me. Like, I would say within a week, I knew how to read the cards. So what I want to do now though is learn this I Ching system. It's called the Classic of Changes or Book of Changes. So it's an ancient Chinese divination text, and it was developed in 1000 BC. Okay, and so over the course of the Warring States. So it's a cosmological text and philosophical commentaries known as the Ten Wings. So they deal with yin and yang. So it is cleromancy, and you use either yarrow sticks to produce like these random numbers, or you use um a set of coins. I believe you can use some coins too. So but you get like 64 possible sets that corresponds to a hexagram. And so here we're talking about this probability distribution science. And I honestly feel that the I Ching is more relevant to probability distribution science than tarot. And so that's why I'm learning this system, and that's why I want to do it. And we may do, we're probably going to do like a I Ching Monday or something, like, like where we actually work with I Ching, and just to get familiar with it. But I find it very fascinating. It's an old system. I mean, we're talking about fourth, 4th century BC, 475 BC. I mean, that's pretty old. And the authorship is credited to the Zhou dynasty. Okay, that's the Zhou dynasty. And so we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it heads with that. But very cool, very cool. But nonetheless, let's continue to see what else we talked about for this week. Yeah, let's keep reviewing. What else does this energy usually means? Church. I mean, I could see that being government as well. I wouldn't rule out government. That energy. I mean, it could be government, but it was church. What we just saw was with the clergy. I wouldn't rule it out. Yes, investment firm. I'm getting that still. Well intentioned, not delivered as promised. So it's like a little bit. Okay, so we did have that as well with the investment firm. I'll share that. I want to hear what else I said though before I show you that. Bit of a apologetic energy this week. So if you like, okay. So this was June 11th. So Moody's issues France credit rating a warning over snap elections. So they had, I think their credit rating was reduced, because we also mentioned that there was be some sort of loss of rank or loss of prestige or rank. And so Moody's credit view is a flagship solution for global capital markets. Okay, so they are the ones that give like these credit ratings and whatnot. And so I do know we mentioned that there would be like a possible someone losing their rank. Let's just play, because that's the last one. Then we're going to go into next week's. This is pretty long-winded, so forgive me, but it is what it is. Felt like you are deserving of an apology, or you may need to give an apology. That could be this week is the week to do that. It's a good energy to do that. It's a good energy to explain things if the other person is on a defense, or even if you are defensive, the defense is up. Yeah. Also another element is moving towards a commerce space in terms of understanding agency, but it could also mean an actual figure too that loses power. Something loses power though this week. Okay, so we said, bitch. I thought it was let's see right now. But what could that be? Is that it could be an apparatus, like an actual agency, but it could also mean an actual figure too that loses power. Some. Okay, so we do see like a loss in rank, like losing power. Moody's issues France a credit rating warning over snap elections. So June 11th, France's snap parliamentary elections are negative for the country's rating scores. Rating agency. Yeah, so I remember we just said agency. I didn't know Moody's was an agency, has warned, but they are the one that gave the negative credit rating. They are the one that reduced. Moody's said in a statement describing it as a credit negative. Okay. Potential political instability is a credit risk given the challenging fiscal picture. the next government will inherit, it said, saying the current stable outlook on France's rating could be cut to negative if its debt metric worsens further. Okay, so look at this. President Macron, that's the one that's married to a man, right? Called a shock snap legislative election on Monday following a bruising loss in the weekend's European Parliament vote to the far right. Okay. Um, Roll of a dice. So it was some type of loss of power, loss of rank, and so Moody's they letting them know they're gonna be you're gonna lose your they're gonna be downgraded. See that something with a downgrade. SMB Global downgraded its French rating earlier this month. Okay, well they already did that, but Moody's signaled that it will drive to follow its suit. So now Moody's is the agency that would lower the rank of someone losing their power, which would be France. Okay. This outlook and ultimately the ratings can move to negative. So we knew it would be some sort of deterioration. Will significantly larger in France than its rating peers. Okay. Interesting. Interesting stuff. Yep. So everything that we said, what happened, all of these scenarios pretty much that we said were going to take place actually took place. That's interesting. The persecution, whistleblower, medical. Then Moody's issue France. So Moody's agency issues France credit rating. They're going to downgrade them, which means they lose power, at least in the global capital sense. We've had bank having to explain themselves. They got to explain this policy. They're going to be defending this more. And plus, Wells Fargo just they refused to give people their deposits yesterday. It had some type of glitch in their system. So remember, that's still that energy of the glitch still going, which was the week before last. That we going into the second week of that. So that came to pass, and then we have this beautiful organization, Courageous Shift, which is helping Black Americans who are victims of domestic violence. They had to talk to them about Black Financial Health Week. And remember, guys, the event was from June 10th to June 14th, which is the last day. Is tomorrow. It's free, and so that's in North Carolina. I believe they said North Carolina, right? They said North Carolina. Yeah, they said. Let's look at it one more time. So that's something that you can sign up for and actually take advantage of. I want to show the event. Okay, here it go. This right here, Survive Plus Thrive Black Financial Week. We said it'll be an organization that come forward that help victims of abuse. And so here we go. We got the last week. This is a virtual and in-person event. So take a look at it. June 10th to June 14th. I did put the link in there. It's a financial empowerment series. I would have loved to be involved with this. This is really dope. Yep, North Carolina. So this is a series for any Black American survivor, whether you're in an abusive relationship, you plan to leave, or have left. It's the registration link. So tomorrow is long-term planning. So I wish I would have known about this, because I would have definitely made another video and told you guys, like, hey, I would have got it out earlier. I've just now seen this because we do our weekly. We're just doing a review. I literally just found this out today because we do the tarot reading, then we do the review the same day. I mean, the following week. So this was in Charlotte. I wanted to move to Charlotte. I've always wanted to go to Charlotte, North Carolina. I always wanted to move to either Charlotte or Greensboro. Maybe I'll get there. Nonetheless, this is really cool. I really like this. Survive Plus Thrive Black Financial Health Week. That's a nice. I like that they did that. So check that out. So nonetheless, let's move on to this week. I know that our reviews are long, but it's cool to see. For me again, you got to figure this. My mind I be kind of blown away. Like this stuff actually be really happening. Like it's like whoa. So I'll be like, I'm just trying to figure out, this idea of this probability distribution science and whether or not it's something that's being created through a Heka, in terms of like Heka just means your resounding sound, your ability to use your speech or your voice to create, like abracadabra, like that Heka magic. That's using your words. In the beginning was the word, and the word was God, and the word was with God. That's in, John. That's a verse in the Bible, but that relates to frequency, resonance, like yo hecka. What I'm trying to figure out is if probability distribution science is, uh, if it's a predictive programming element through the hecka, or if it's through the actual quantum bit being able to actually see an event before it happens, or if we're creating the event. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm not an initiator, or I don't have a network of people that I talk to about these things. So I come here, but I'm literally trying to figure out if it's the records see the event or creating the event, and that's where I'm at with it. But or if it's both. I think it could be both. I really do. I think it could be a combination of both. But nonetheless, if you guys would like a reading, you can call this number, you know, and you this is will be a live reading. Obviously, that would be live right then and there. Or you can go and book on Etsy. That's more of pre-schedule. Like if you want to pick a date, schedule a date, ask your questions in advance, and then we can do it live over the phone or via chat. If you want to do live chat, maybe you don't feel comfortable talking on the phone, or you can book on my website. And my website, you also you schedule your own reading the day that you want it. Put your questions in, any information you want me to know, or if you don't want me to know, let you ask your question. You pick your time. You need 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. You want to do it live. You want to do an email recording. You want to pre-record it. You want to do it on the phone. You want to do video. You have the options to choose that. And so I'll share that. And then now we're going to get to this week. Also, here's a link to my books if you guys want to know more about esoteric topics. I cover like various topics with my books: self-help, history, sociology, Black women, empowerment, Black American culture and history, a lot of spiritual topics. My last two books were very highly esoteric, very spiritual. The Gnostic Queen Mothership Part 3, The Age of Divine Feminine and Language of the Gods, and The Gnostic Queen Mothership Order, The Alternative Freemasonry. Those are highly esoteric books. They're not for the lighthearted. Those are people that are already adepts or well studied on those topics. Those are not for beginners or people that are really religious to go and pick up those books and think they're going to understand the material you have to be somewhat advanced to even understand the last book. You could be beginners for the Gnostic Queen Mothership Part 3, but for my last book, the Gnostic Queen Mothership Order, that you have to have working knowledge in multiple school of thoughts relating to esoteric sciences and mystery sciences to even understand it. And if you don't have that, then you won't understand the content. It's years of study. I've been studying these type of things since I was 19, all on my own. Like even you guys know that I am a devotee of Kali Ma, an octave resonance of Kali Ma, and that energy came to me when I was 19. I didn't go seeking it. Nobody forced it. And that's a beautiful way to find the inner self and to connect with your higher self, is when this stuff organically comes to you, whether that be through a dream or whether that be through your own curiosity and research. That's what it was for me. No cult came to me and tried to recruit me or try to put stuff in my head. And I would advise against anyone doing that. But like there was no one that tried to, give me orthodoxy or, dogma. The way I was very much a renegade, and in the way that I approach my spiritual life. I would say since 19. Since 19, I just went on my own exploration, wanted to know about Buddhism, to, look at the Dhammapada. What is this? Look at, for one, I was interested in finding Black female deities. I'm like, well, I kind of intuitively knew that there were octaves of deities, and that I did know that, like, for me, God was female. It has to be like to me. I just always felt that, and so I would I researched like at like 1920, like what are some Black females, like Black female deities. I wanted to know, like, and so that's where I felt come upon Kali Ma, and then Oya, and Azalea Dantor and all these different. Azalea Dantor was much later though. I would say that I was in like my late 20s. Yeah, I was like my mid 20s. Um, but Kali Ma was the first one, and I had my own visitation and experiences with that, and then the rest was history. And that's how I approach, my spirituality. Now, people could say, well, maybe you were under some type of MK Ultra programming to, to be all over the place like that. I mean, I wouldn't rule that. I wouldn't rule that aspect out in terms of the esoteric sciences that I have been exposed to. But for the most part, since I've been studying this stuff since I was 19, and so the books that I write about these topics, it comes from me being well versed in it. I'm obviously still learning. Only 32 years old. I mean, come on, I have so much to learn about. Uh, the spirituality and myself and the way of the world, the way of the universe. So certainly, I'm not saying like, oh, I have arrived, but I mean, 12 years, you're gonna know some things. How 19? I'm 32 now. Isn't that 12? 13 years. Yeah, 13 years. I mean, you're gonna know a little something. And so I write on those topics. And so yes, if you guys want a reading or if you want to check out my work, support my books, I greatly appreciate it. A lot of my stuff you can find redacted versions. If you go to academia.edu, you can find redacted versions. Even on YouTube, you find redacted versions of many of my books. But I do appreciate the support. A lot of the work that I do is to help humanity. And so I purposely put the redacted versions out of my work because I don't want the work to go on to be hidden, and I want people to have access to the knowledge more so than having to pay for it. Pay for it is fine. I do believe in people getting compensated and putting their stuff behind a paywall, but in 2024, the day and age that we are in terms of the age of enlightenment, the age of Aquarius, the age of Saturn, this is like information age on steroid, but it's the creation of new knowledge, the collation of new knowledge. Is not so much just the regurgitation of stuff that's old, but we're in an age where we are awakening to different revelations of old knowledge, but also the revelation and creation of new repositories of knowledges or new sciences, new philosophies, all rooted in love and all rooted in the Godhead. And so that's the age that we should be in. Now they're going to obviously uh, counteract that with their beast system and try to get us to focus on low governing force, low vibrations, things that don't serve humanity, things that keep us our brains enchained and enslaved. But if for those of us that are on that journey towards greater self-awareness and attainment of our higher self, and by that we're talking about the alchemical, it's not so much the alchemical, but more of the refinement of our inner man or inner woman, the refinement through the processes of learning wisdom, life experiences, going through our trials and tribulations, and coming out on the other side with a more refined aspect of consciousness, more a more higher perspective. That's the higher self. It's not like something that's separate or external from you. It is in you. It's this, in this day and age, things are buried. Humans are everything around you. The programming is to lower your self-esteem, to get you to question yourself, to get you to doubt yourself, to get you to doubt one another, distrust one another. And so that programming, we have to counteract that in a way, but we have to do it in a genuine sense, in a genuine way, in a way that's methodical. And so that is the catalyst that I am in terms of bridging that those rims of between the age of Aquarius and what we see as a dying out system, the 3D matrix beast system, which is about mind control, which is about propaganda, which is about separation, which is about isms, the desecration of the divine feminine. I'm a catalyst for the age of the divine feminine. As an Aquarius woman, we're life path 8. That's Saturn, 22. I mean, that I'm born on January 22nd, 1992. So my life path is 8. I'm an Aquarius, and I'm born in a 22. So just my gematria, just my Kabbalist calculations prove and show that I am someone here that I would have no other choice. Like what I'm doing right now is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. An element of teaching and spirituality, um, doing my religious studies, being my priest, being a priestess, creating, writing books, education, all those things it's in my makeup. It's in my natal chart. It's just there. It would be no other way. And so I encourage you guys to also encode your own your own, how do I say this, spiritual epigenetics, your or spiritual genealogy rather, your own spiritual genealogy, to see where you stand in the cosmos in terms of getting a sense of what you should be doing. That is important. So again, enough with the tangent. Let's focus on this week. Well, next week rather. Okay, so let me get that situated for you. Let's get that started. Let's see what's the energy for. Let's see, June 15th through June 21st. June 15th to June 21st. Let's look and see what is the reading, what is the events, what is the energy, what can we do to help people. Let's look at that. I'm just pulling the energy. Okay. Okay. This one is not as so clear cut as last week's. Last week's reading was just like, I remember like as soon as I pulled it up, it was like boom, this is what this means. So this one I had to tap in just a little bit more and study. Okay. Definitely look like some sort of apology. Hmm. Hmm. What's that? Okay, so let me share. I'm about to share the spread. Okay. Okay. Wow. So the first thing I'm getting is possible breach of some sort of breach of contract. Is the first thing that keeps coming up. Breach of government contract, breach of something. As far as like a global event, like something that's it's some type of breach, but it looks to be like a possible misunderstanding and maybe apology ensues. Some sort of apology breach. Yeah, I keep getting breach of. Um, yeah, there's some sort of breach in some sort of agreement. This could relate to two or three or more countries. Yeah, 2 to 3 countries, or it could be 2 to 3 like corporations or governments. This could be countries, government, or uh, countries, government, or like corporations. Some type of agreement. Um, yeah, breach of like I'm gonna just write this down so I don't forget. Breach of contract or agreement relating to 2 through 3. Uh, this could be again either institutions, so like or governments, or countries, or corporations. But let me see if I can get just a little more detail on that. Like I could probably pinpoint which one it is. Not the actual countries itself, but as far as the field, is it a government? Is it a corporation? Um, Let me take more of a look. Yeah, and it looks like these agreements fall because of rushing to judgment, failing going forward without a clear plan. Yep. Or information arriving that may be upsetting. Bluntness. There's yeah. It's some type of there's some fallout with something on a big scale. This could be again some type of alliance within banks or some sort of corporation. Mm. I'm leaning more towards corporation, but again, it could be. Mm, I'll do individual in a minute, but I'm just still trying to pick up for more of like a world event. Yeah, something falls through. Whatever something that was supposed to go through just falls through because actions doesn't match the goals. Um there's disorganization as well. Another thing, I'm trying to see if I find a new event here. There could be something with a powerful man this week too. Like a figure, powerful male figure, powerful male figure that like apologizes. A figure that apologizes for something, for some type of um, breach or harsh words, some type of harsh words, abusive words, or something like that. Trying to figure. Yeah, this could be like some an institution or a company also apologizes as well. Apologizes for um, again some type of miscommunication or like a breach. Or you know what? It may not even also be apologize. This could be the formation as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a formation. I know I said it looks like more of, to me, a breakdown, which it does. I do get more of breakdown, but formation. Yeah, I'm not really interpreting this as formation. If there's something that you are trying to form, now I'm going to go start with an individual. If you are trying to form like some new alliance or like organization or like formation of a company or something, you need a little more patience on that. I wouldn't do it this week because it may fall through. You guys may get, it may fall through. However, you can start like the balance in the foundation, the structure and the foundation for building um, will be good this week. If you're an individual that needs to do that, that will be fine. But this week, I would say we need moderation and balance. So if you feel yourself being impatient in the beginning of the week, you want to make sure that you're patient and slow down. Okay, if you're trying to like be more disciplined or like change your diet, this would be a good week to do that as well. Yep. Another thing, if you may deal with someone that speaks harshly to you, or you're going to be the one speaking harshly to someone using very blunt words, very blunt language. You want to be careful of that because you may end up having to apologize, or you may receive an apology. If you notice in the beginning of the week of next week, someone like cursing at you or like going off, they may have to apologize to you. They're most likely going to apologize. So that's why you have to be patient and disciplined this week. Some moderation on the emotional level. Yeah. There'd be some monumental changes, probably in like the structure of a company. I wouldn't rule that out either. Yep. Another thing for the individual, as far as like individual, those who's watching this as an individual, you'll be feeling pleased this week. You'll have there if you wanted to go out for like laughs, go out, say maybe next Saturday or even this Saturday or this Sunday. It will be a great time to do that. As far as like if you guys wanted to plan something, that would be good. As far as I see abundance, there's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of sex. So there's a sense of good feelings, of accomplishment. If this is also a good next week is also a good week to pamper yourself. If you need to go to the spa, if you need to get your hair done, nails done, toes done, massage. That's also would be the good energy for that. Also, there's going to be like, oh, you know what? I am starting to see another world event. There could be some sort of promotion or raise, promotion or raise of something relating to a new agreement, relating to a new agreement. Maybe this is a merger. Could be a possible merger. Yeah, some type of promotion or raise due to a merge or combination, working together. That's another world event that's coming to me now. Working together. Okay. Let me continue here. Yep, but I would say again, if you're gonna have something planned this week, make sure it's fun. If you wanted to like start to form the formation of like a new organization or a company or a new group or something, this would be a good week to work on the structure and the foundation of that, but not necessarily work on any paperwork or any contracts or any agreements or stuff like that. That I will hold off on. Have a little more patience for that. Be careful of the words, as far as if you're going to be harsh words. Be blunt, but not obnoxious. Um, it's a good. This type of ventures that you get involved with, it relates to like working with other a merger or a formation of a new company. Um, it's going to be it's expansive, expanding of consciousness. Yeah, and expanding of new avenues. So getting into something new. That's what I get with like some type of merger. Going into a new lane due to merging with another company, some sort of new agreement. So it could be some sort of formation that leads to expansion or even travel. Worst case scenario is that this doesn't is a breach of contract, doesn't go through, or a disagreement, some type of fallout and an apology. Yep, that's what I get. That's what I get. Just look at this energy as far as the outcome. Yeah, so if you guys are doing that, you just need careful planning and you need a solid foundation. That's what you need to work on this week. Not so much the any sort of paperwork and agreements, because it's most likely not going to go through, or there's going to be some disagreement that leads to a breach or a fallout. So this is more of a week for careful planning and a solid foundation for business, and seeking advice. If you need to seek advice, that this will be a good week to seek advice. That could be on your career, that can be on your business as well. Okay, so that's what I get for next week. Yep. So I'm going to end it there. Yep, I'll end it there. And I'm going to come back because I want to do another video on it's a philosophy video about like the subjective nature of truth versus the objective nature of truth, or what proof do you need to prove a truth. So I'll be talking about that. And yeah, that one, it's just something on my mind. It's just something my mind just does that. I just go into like thinking about random shit. And so I just want to talk about like the subjective nature of truth, and like the eschatological, just the essence of truth, in terms of the people say the truth needs no proof. The truth needs no proof, or is it subjective? Or, and if you do need proof to prove truth, what proof do you use? So that's just something I want to talk about real quick. So I'll be back on here. So I will talk to you guys later. I want to share my file here, and then we'll end it, and I'll be back on here. Okay. Have a good week.